We start tonight with breaking news. Firefighters are currently battling a wildfire in Pueblo. It started in a wooded area east of Pueblo Boulevard near 11th Street. A nearby animal shelter, Paws for Life, was forced to evacuate as the flames spread. Fire crews are having a hard time because of the very dry conditions and forecasted wind gusts of around 50 miles per hour. Around 3 p.m., 10 to 15 acres had already burned, and officials say the fire is growing and changing rapidly. The Pueblo Fire Department asks everyone to stay away from that area. We're also following a large grass fire near Wiggins. Smoke from that fire is causing visibility problems. Highway 34 is closed in both directions from the north side of the Empire Reservoir all the way to Wiggins as firefighters work to knock down that fire. It burned 35 to 40 acres already, and it is contained, but crews are still putting out hot spots. Another first alert weather day as huge wind gusts are still ripping across Colorado at this hour. Some as strong as 65 miles an hour in the Northeast Plains. First alert meteorologist Chris Spears is joining us tonight, and it might be cooler today, but that fire danger is still really hanging around us.
It is coming up.
Chris, thanks so much. Now, as the fentanyl crisis worsens here in Colorado, CBS 4 has learned that legislation aimed at preventing more people from dying may be in jeopardy. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dillon Thomas. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid, is now turning up in all street drugs, including marijuana, cocaine, and heroin. Thousands of Coloradans are dying from it. A bill at the state capitol would make distribution of even small amounts of fentanyl a felony, and it would also create a new crime for distribution resulting in death. But the bill continues to make possession of up to 4 grams of fentanyl just a misdemeanor. As little as 4 milligrams, the equivalent of a grain of salt, can be deadly. But many lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say any amount of fentanyl should be a felony. Speaker of the House, Alec Garnett, told political specialist Sean Boyd he will amend this bill. Garnett is worried if he amends this bill, he could lose the support of lawmakers who don't want people going to prison for addiction. But if he doesn't amend it, he will lose the support of other lawmakers who say 4 grams should be a felony. Coming up tonight at 10 on CBS 4, Sean looks into the bill's odds of passage and talks to a couple whose son unfortunately died from fentanyl poisoning. Well, the weather is getting nicer, and that means more people want to get outdoors to enjoy our beautiful state we live in. But before you go to some of your favorite places in Colorado, you might want to make sure you can get in. If it's maroon bells that you want to see, then you can start making reservations on Monday. Michael Abeda is in the foothills tonight for us. And Michael, you didn't always need to make reservations to get into that area, right? Michael, thank you so much. Coming up, new research shows that bugs can actually spread between us and our beloved pets. How to avoid getting sick from cuddles with your pup.
One wind maker passing.
Well, lots of us here in Colorado have dogs and take them everywhere we go. But new data shows that our pets might be able to make us sick. Researchers in the UK screened samples from over 100 healthy people and the cats and the dogs that they live with. Well, it turns out that in 4 houses, resistance genes found in the pets matched those in their humans. In 2 of those homes, the bacteria strains in the pets were the same as those in their owners. The good news is transmission is very low, and the advice for preventing illness is the same stuff we've been doing for a long time now. Washing hands. There you go. Researchers warn that overuse of antibiotics in people and in pets is a factor in the risk of infection. Well, First Alert meteorologist Chris Spears joins us now. Chris, I know you have some pups, and I know you love getting them outdoors too.
They enjoy being outside, except on windy days like today. They're like,
as forecasted, another First Alert weather day as huge wind gusts are still ripping across Colorado. Some as strong as 60 miles an hour in the mountains. West Metro Fire Rescue has their fire danger meter set at very high today, right there in the orange. They say vegetation like small plants and grass are their biggest concern on days like this, even though we had a little bit of rain last night. West Metro says those types of fuel dry out very fast after wet weather, and they are running and ready to burn. First Alert meteorologist Chris Spears joining us now. And Chris, what could we expect in the weeks and days ahead?
Well, we have another.
Firefighters are currently battling a wildfire in Pueblo. It started in a wooded area east of Pueblo Boulevard near 11th Street. Now, a nearby animal shelter, which is Paws for Life, was forced to evacuate as the flames spread quickly. Fire crews are having a hard time because of the dry conditions and forecasted wind gusts Chris was just talking about, around 50 miles per hour. Around 3 p.m., 10 to 15 acres had already burned, and officials say the fire is quickly growing and changing. The Pueblo Fire Department asks everyone to stay away from that area. We're also following a large grass fire near Wiggins. Smoke from that fire is causing visibility problems. Highway 34 is closed in both directions from the north side of the Empire Reservoir all the way to Wiggins as firefighters work to knock down that fire. It did burn 35 to 40 acres, and our Connor McHugh reports it is contained, but crews are still putting out hot spots. Well, the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo unfortunately said goodbye to the Asiatic black bear, Honey, this week. Honey is one of the zoo's longest residents, started showing signs of illness and pain on Friday. Zoo veterinarians made the difficult decision to humanely euthanize Honey after they found serious age-related conditions. Honey came to the zoo with her sister when both were just under a year old. Honey has touched the hearts of millions of guests and many keepers in her 28 years. At 29, Honey was one of the oldest known black bears of her type living in captivity. Well, coming up, an outbreak of avian flu hitting Colorado. What experts say you should do to keep your birds safe. And First Alert meteorologist Chris Spears is up next with your work week forecast. Thank you for joining us. You're watching Colorado's News Channel. Well, right now, the students and staff at the University of Denver are ecstatic. The champion team came back and they made their way from Boston today, still celebrating their win over Minnesota State last night. In a hard-fought battle, the Pios won their 9th championship. They now tie Michigan for the most NCAA national hockey titles ever. And DU fans are amped up over the school's historic day. Students were out in the streets celebrating, shooting off fireworks, clearly excited, and maybe a little bit too excited. Denver police were called to move those students out of the area. And some of those celebrations left some aftermath in their wake. Students seem to have set fire to a couch of all things last night to cap off that win. Well, a worrisome new avian flu is spreading among millions of birds across the United States, and most recently here in Colorado. It wiped out almost an entire flock in Pitkin County. So what do flock owners need to know before they can prevent this spreading? Our Mikelia White has advice from an expert.
Saturday.
The most beautiful day of the week, the day that I'm going to the Rockies game. I appreciate you setting that up for me.
Worked my magic.
Yeah. Chris, thank you so much. Sure. And thank you guys for joining us after the Masters. Make sure to stick around. 60 Minutes is coming up, and we'll also see you guys tonight here on CBS 4 News at 10.